Barranquilla was not a city for dreamers. It was a city for survivors. The streets cracked under decades of political chaos. Electricity flickered. Banks collapsed without warning. Families lost everything overnight. Dreams were currency no one could afford. And in the middle of it all, a little girl scribbled poetry on scraps of napkins and sang to empty corners of her neighborhood. Her voice too loud. Her dreams too dangerous. Shakira Isabel Mebarak Rapal grew up in the shadow of collapse. When she was just a child, she watched her father lose his entire fortune in a banking crisis that turned wealthy businessmen into beggars in a matter of days. The house, the comforts, the security gone. Just like that. Her father took her to a local park, where orphans wandered barefoot, begging for scraps of food. He looked her in the eyes and said, "This is what poverty looks like. Never forget." She didn't. Shakira's childhood was a masterclass in survival. The value of money wasn't theoretical, it was brutal, visceral, immediate. She saw firsthand that talent meant nothing without strategy, that hard work wasn't enough without smart work, and that a future, any future, would have to be built deliberately, fiercely, stone by stone. By the time she was a teenager, Shakira was performing at school events, entering local competitions, trying to carve a space for her voice in a world that seemed too noisy to care. She wasn't just fighting for fame. She was fighting for freedom, the kind that only financial security could bring. Her first record deal came when she was just 13, a glittering opportunity until she saw the fine print. The payout was small, the rights even smaller. She was a product, a pawn in a machine that didn't care about the girl from Barranquilla. Only the profit she might one day produce. Most kids would have signed anything. Most kids would have been grateful. But Shakira wasn't most kids. She understood the stakes. She understood that earning a little now at the cost of her future meant building someone else's fortune, not her own. She said yes, but she watched. She learned. She promised herself this would be the last time anyone else would own her destiny. The money from that first deal disappeared almost as fast as it came. But Shakira didn't stop. She kept writing songs that blended the ancient rhythms of her Lebanese ancestry with the fierce guitars of Latin America. She crafted a sound that didn't fit into neat boxes, and because it didn't, it had power. The local industry didn't know what to do with her. Radio stations were skeptical. Producers tried to mold her into something safer, smaller, more familiar. Shakira refused. The lessons of her childhood were burned too deep. Safety was an illusion. Conformity was a trap. If she was going to fail, she would fail loudly, fully herself. Barranquilla's broken streets had taught her something more valuable than any music. Lesson: the world doesn't reward the best. It rewards the boldest. And Shakira wasn't just bold. She was inevitable. She wasn't just building an audience. She was preparing for a future few people around her could even imagine, a future where music was just the foundation, not the fortress. Because even then, before the Grammys, before the stadiums, before the millions, Shakira knew. It's not enough to earn your dream. You have to protect it. The stage lights burn bright, but the contracts burn brighter. Every time Shakira stepped closer to fame, the fine print loomed larger, hungrier, more dangerous. Her early albums in Colombia barely paid the bills. The money trickled in through tangled pipelines of executives, middlemen, and managers, who always seemed to eat first. By the time the checks reached her, they were little more than scraps. She was a star to her fans. She was a line item on someone else's balance sheet. Shakira learned fast. Talent was priceless, but only if you knew how to price it yourself. Otherwise, someone else would. Her breakout moment came with Pais Descalzos, an album that cracked the walls of Latin pop wide open. Suddenly, Shakira was everywhere. Billboards, television, radio waves that couldn't stop playing her voice. But behind the scenes, the financial structures stayed the same. The more she earned, the more others siphoned. It wasn't just unfair. It was unsustainable. She faced the same trap that had swallowed so many young artists before her. Make millions for everyone but yourself. Work harder, tour longer, sing louder, and somehow stay broke. Shakira wasn't built for that kind of tragedy. When the executives offered her new deals, shinier contracts, bigger promises, she didn't just sign. She sat down with lawyers. She tore the contracts apart, line by painful line. She asked the questions young artists were never supposed to ask. Where does the publishing go? How are the royalties structured? Who owns the masters? What happens when the hits stop coming? The answers were ugly. The deals were never written to protect the artist. They were written to maximize the machine, the system that fed off talent and discarded it. Without a second glance, most would have folded. Most would have taken the advance money and prayed for the best. Shakira fought instead. She renegotiated her contracts. She demanded ownership clauses. She surrounded herself with advisors who understood not just music, but business. She learned that control over her catalog wasn't vanity. It was survival. Because in the music world, the songs you write are the factories you own. They are the assets that keep producing money long after the applause dies. And Shakira wasn't interested in selling factories for pennies on the dollar. Her next album, Donde Están los Ladrones, was a declaration of war against industry expectations. It didn't just break records. It broke assumptions that a Latina artist could dominate not just in Colombia, but across Latin America and, soon, the world. The money started flowing faster now, but this time, Shakira was ready. She wasn't just a singer anymore. She was a business in motion. She controlled more of her music. She captured larger shares of her touring revenue. She began setting the terms of her brand partnerships, refusing to attach her name to anything that diluted the authenticity she had fought so hard to protect. Every concert ticket sold was a lesson in leverage. Every album shipped was a silent negotiation, her art, her ownership, her future. Because Shakira had learned one brutal truth. Fame doesn't guarantee wealth. Control guarantees wealth. And she was just getting started. The next move she would make would catapult her beyond Latin America, beyond the limitations placed on her by industry executives, and straight into global dominance. Not by accident, by strategy. In every career, there's a moment when the next step feels impossible. When the leap is so wide, so risky, that it threatens to swallow everything you've already built. For Shakira, that leap was the English-speaking market. Latin America adored her. Spanish-language albums sold millions. Her tours filled stadiums from Buenos Aires to Bogotá. But the global stage, the real financial kingdom, still belonged to someone else. America. Europe. Markets where her name was still mispronounced, misunderstood, underestimated. The industry had a warning ready for her. Crossing over could destroy everything. Lose your core fans. Lose your authenticity. Lose your power. Shakira listened. And then she ignored them. Because Shakira knew something few understood. Fame in one language was fame on borrowed time. True dominance required risk. And true wealth required going where others were too afraid to leap. But this wasn't just a creative move. It was a financial pivot, a masterstroke of expansion strategy. She didn't just translate her songs into English. She rebuilt them, rewrote them, reimagined herself without losing the core identity that had made her unstoppable. She partnered with producers who understood pop but respected her origins. She studied the market. She crafted an album that could live in both worlds, Latin passion wrapped in global pop precision. In 2001, Laundry Service hit the airwaves. It was not a cautious debut. It was an explosion. Whenever, wherever, roared onto radio stations from Miami to Madrid. Shakira wasn't just crossing over. She was colonizing new territory. The financial floodgates opened. Album sales shattered records. Brand endorsements followed, each one negotiated with increasing ruthlessness to ensure that Shakira wasn't just the face, she was a partner. Touring revenue multiplied. Licensing deals exploded. Merchandise sales surged. She didn't just make more money. She made better money. Because every deal was structured to protect her brand equity, to funnel ownership back into her hands, to turn each contract into a brick laid firmly in the foundation of a global empire. The crossover wasn't a gamble. It was a calculated acquisition. And as Shakira's English-language career soared, she made sure her Spanish catalog never faded into the background. She remained a force in both languages, both cultures, both worlds, doubling her audience, doubling her negotiating power, doubling her financial leverage. She had cracked the code, not by chance, by strategic design. While other artists scrambled to stay relevant, chasing trends and selling pieces of themselves to survive, Shakira planted deeper roots in every market she touched. Because she wasn't chasing fame anymore. She was capturing markets. Every music video was a campaign. Every concert tour was an economic engine. Every licensing deal was a corporate acquisition in disguise. The leap had not destroyed her. It had transformed her. And as the music industry began its slow collapse under the pressure of digital piracy and declining album sales, Shakira's empire only grew stronger, diversified, international, recession-proof, because she understood that global fame wasn't just a trophy. It was a ladder, and she had already decided to climb it all the way to financial freedom. The next move would prove it. She wasn't just earning at her peak. She was already investing it far beyond music, far beyond fame. Because Shakira knew. You don't wait for the stage lights to dim before you start building your fortress. While the world obsessed over her hips and her hooks, Shakira focused on something far less glamorous: property deeds, zoning laws, and long-term asset classes. Miami glittered in the early 2000s. New money flooded in, real estate prices soared, and developers promised luxury that stretched toward the sky. To most celebrities, it looked like a playground. To Shakira, it looked like a battleground and an opportunity. She saw what few entertainers ever understand until it's too late. Peak fame is not the reward. It's the capital you must invest while the lights are still on. And so, at the height of her musical dominance, while tabloids speculated about her love life and fashion choices, Shakira quietly started buying Miami real estate. She wasn't buying for flash. She was buying for foundation. Her first major purchase was a waterfront mansion, but it wasn't just a home. It was a strategic investment, located in one of the fastest appreciating neighborhoods in South Florida. Instead of renting villas, she bought them. Instead of leasing studio spaces, she invested in them. Every tour, every album release, every endorsement deal, a percentage flowed into concrete, steel, and land. Properties that would not only hold value but multiply it. She didn't flip houses like some celebrities chasing quick headlines and quicker collapses. She held them, improved them, leased them to the right tenants. Watched their value grow like quiet, stubborn trees beneath the noise of her public life. Miami wasn't her only play. Shakira diversified across borders, investing in properties in the Bahamas, Barcelona, and other global hotspots where demand stayed high and supply stayed tight. She understood that music fame was a volatile currency, but land, real, prime, coastal land, was an asset the world would always hunger for. Each investment was strategic. Each purchase tied to tax advantages, legal protections, and long-term passive income. Streams that didn't depend on album sales or ticket tours. While other stars lived paycheck to paycheck, even multi-million-dollar ones, Shakira was insulating herself. She was building financial firewalls. She was creating a second, silent empire that didn't require public adoration to survive. And all of it was fueled by a simple mindset. Don't just earn at your peak. Invest at your peak. Because the applause always fades, but assets can outlive you. By her early 30s, Shakira's real estate portfolio was worth tens of millions, a safety net. Most artists never build until it's too late. And she wasn't done. Every real estate purchase made her less dependent on the volatile tides of the entertainment industry. Every passive income check made her future a little less tied to the mood of audiences or the shifting sands of fame. She wasn't just buying houses. She was buying freedom. Freedom to take creative risks. Freedom to walk away from bad deals. Freedom to protect her future children's futures. Because Shakira had watched too many fortunes rise and fall like pop songs on a chart. She had seen what happened when artists mistook high income for lasting wealth. She had vowed she would never make that mistake. The music gave her a voice. The real estate gave her a fortress. And while the cameras flashed and the headlines raved about her latest hit single, Shakira's real empire, the one made of brick, stone, and vision, kept growing, silent and unstoppable. Because Shakira wasn't just living in the moment. She was investing in the next 50 years. In the music industry, the most valuable asset is not the fame. It is not the sold-out tours or the flashing headlines. It is the catalog, the silent empire of songs that outlive their creator. Every melody, every lyric, every rights contract filed away in dusty legal offices. That is where the real wealth hides. Shakira understood this brutal truth long before the industry began to whisper it. She knew that singing for a crowd was temporary glory, but owning the song was permanent power. And from the earliest days of her career, she fought not just for applause, but for ownership. When her peers celebrated their first advances with fast cars and sprawling mansions, Shakira stayed focused on something less glamorous and infinitely more important: intellectual property rights. She combed through contracts line by painful line, asking the questions most young stars never dared to ask. Who owns the master recordings? Who collects the publishing royalties? Where does the money flow after the tour buses leave and the fans move on? The answers were rarely comforting. The system was designed to strip artists of their creations while they were too young or too desperate to notice. But Shakira noticed, and Shakira refused. At negotiation tables filled with seasoned executives, she pushed back against standard contracts and fought for terms that would secure her financial future. She was not interested in short-term wins. She was building a fortress that no industry downturn could tear down. When her breakout albums flooded Latin America and later the global market, the revenue streams were wide and furious. Shakira did not just ride the wave of success, she bottled it, patented it, and kept the blueprint in her own hands. Every song she wrote became a durable asset. Every melody she recorded became a future annuity. Every performance became a lifetime check waiting to be cashed. The music world changed. Streaming devoured traditional record sales. Touring became more unpredictable. But Shakira's wealth remained fortified because she had invested not in trends, but in permanence. When private equity firms and investment houses began hunting down artist catalogs, offering breathtaking sums for lifetime rights, Shakira received her offers too. They promised liquidity, freedom, an easy exit from the grind of the business. Many artists sold quickly, cashing out catalogs for lump sum payments and surrendering their future incomes. Shakira chose differently. She negotiated carefully, selectively. She sold pieces where it made strategic sense, but never the soul of her empire. She protected her royalty rights, preserved her creative control, and ensured that every deal made her stronger, not smaller. Because for Shakira, music was not a product to be flipped. It was a legacy to be curated, monetized wisely, and defended against every short-sighted temptation. The world saw a pop star dancing through glittering arenas and soaring through global charts. Behind the scenes, the truth was far more powerful. Shakira was operating as a chief executive officer of her own intellectual property empire, managing her art with the precision of a Wall Street titan. She knew the difference between earning a fortune and owning one. She knew that the applause fades. She knew that fame is fickle. But ownership, true ownership, is eternal. And every beat, every lyric, every timeless chorus was hers to protect. At the height of her music career, when the charts bowed and the world danced to her every word, Shakira saw something few of her peers recognized. Music was a bridge, not a destination. Fame was a flame that burned hot, but never forever. And if she wanted to build a dynasty, she would need to expand far beyond the narrow borders of entertainment. She had already mastered the music industry, already invested wisely in real estate, already protected her catalog like a seasoned tycoon. Now, it was time to build in new arenas, industries that would thrive whether her next album topped the charts or not. Shakira turned her attention toward brand partnerships, but not the kind where celebrities simply lend their faces to products they barely use. Every endorsement deal she signed, every collaboration she considered, was scrutinized through the sharp lens of strategic ownership. Would this brand elevate her identity? Would it offer long-term equity instead of short-term cash? Would it extend her reach into industries that could outlive even her musical career? She partnered with fragrance companies, consumer brands, and lifestyle ventures, but always on her terms. Equity stakes were negotiated wherever possible. Profit participation was demanded, not begged for. Shakira did not simply endorse, she invested, she influenced, and she earned from every unit sold. But her ambition stretched even further. While the tech world exploded with startups fueled by venture capital and dreams of disruption, Shakira saw another opportunity. She quietly entered the world of angel investing, placing strategic bets on technology. Companies that aligned with her personal brand, education platforms, wellness, innovations, and digital ventures poised to reshape industries. Every investment was a calculated risk. Every partnership was a statement of intent. Because Shakira wasn't chasing relevance. She was architecting permanence. She understood the brutal truth of the entertainment world. Today's darling is tomorrow's. Trivia question. But tech, health, education, these were fields that built generational wealth, not just headlines. Her investments were often invisible to the public eye, but the returns were very real. Silent streams of income fortified her portfolio. Equity positions matured into real power, the kind that no tour schedule or album cycle could dictate. And through it all, Shakira remained grounded in a philosophy few artists ever grasp at their peak. Diversify while you are still hot. Build the next chapter while the cameras are still rolling. Protect your legacy before you are forced to rebuild it from the ashes. She wove her philanthropic work into her empire as well, founding educational foundations that were deeply personal, but also aligned with larger impact investments. Philanthropy was not just charity. It was part of a larger strategy to create influence that would ripple across industries and borders. Where others saw celebrity as a finish line, Shakira saw it as fuel. While many artists spent their fortunes trying to stay young forever, Shakira was building wealth structures designed to survive long after the stage lights dimmed. Music had made her a global star. Business was making her immortal. Because Shakira understood that real power is not in staying famous. It is in becoming untouchable. The world celebrated her voice. The world danced to her rhythms. But the world never fully understood the mind behind the music. Shakira didn't just survive the brutal tides of the entertainment industry. She didn't just adapt to changing times and shifting tastes. She built a blueprint, a living, breathing model for turning peak fame into permanent fortune. She understood that every album, every tour, every endorsement was a peak, a moment of maximum visibility, maximum earning power. And she understood something even more critical. Peaks are temporary, but smart investments can make them eternal. While others chased more fame to fund their lifestyles, Shakira funneled her earnings into assets that could stand alone. Real estate that appreciated even when her songs weren't on the radio. Music catalogs that generated royalties while she slept. Equity stakes that matured quietly while the world obsessed over the next viral star. She did not just live at the top. She converted the view into ownership. And she diversified aggressively before the music ever stopped playing. Because Shakira knew a truth as old as wealth itself. You cannot control the crowd. You cannot control the market. But you can control where your money sleeps at night. Her career is a masterclass in protecting momentum, not wasting it. In investing earnings at their peak, not when desperation makes the terms worse. In thinking decades ahead, not just album cycles ahead. The Shakira playbook is not about chasing applause. It is about chasing sovereignty. Today, Shakira stands as far more than an artist. She is a global brand, a diversified investor, a strategist whose net worth reflects not just talent, but discipline, vision, and relentless reinvention. Her story is not just a reminder of what is possible. It is a challenge to everyone who dreams of building something that lasts longer than a trend. Don't just earn when you are at your peak. Invest while you are at your peak. Own your future while the world is still clapping. Because eventually, the lights dim. The crowds thin. The songs fade. And when they do, only those who built wisely remain standing. Subscribe to Money and Fame, because every fortune has a hidden story, and every empire begins with one decision no one else can see. Which celebrity's financial story should we tell next? Write it in the comments. Thank you, and see you soon.